So good day everyone. So I am Dexter Lanoy, a second year BPED student at Visayas State University. So today we will discuss the lesson content of Module 3, Lesson 3.1 of which is the Philippine costume. So costume does not only refer to clothes, but it reflects a person's identity. According to a poet, playwright, and filmmaker Virginia R. Moreno, costume is our second skin. So before anything else, I want you to reflect on this motivational question. So here's our motivational question. So what do you think is the importance or relevance of a costume to a certain culture? So for example, in the Philippines, what do you think is the relevance of a costume to its culture? So as we go along to our discussion, here are some objectives that we will ponder on. So first objective is to identify the different costume in the Philippines. So as we go along on this discussion, we will identify different costumes in the Philippines into different regions. So next, discuss the different Philippine costumes. So lastly, we appreciate the importance of Philippine costumes to the Philippine culture. So we will not just identify, we will not just discuss, but rather we will appreciate the different costume here in our Philippines. So let's move on to our discussion. So the Filipino dress in the year 1890s to 1960s. So first we have the barot saya. So barot saya is a collarless blouse, an all-purpose wrap-around skirt metamorphosed into the long skirt called saya. So these two pieces ensemble, the usually supplemented by the ancient tapis used as an overskirt. So this is a traditional dress worn by women in the Philippines. So just observe in the picture. It's a collarless blouse. It doesn't have collar. So it has a round wrap-around skirt metamorphosed into the long skirt. So it is called the saya. So next we have the Maria Clara. So Maria Clara was used to refer the 19th century terno. So the camisa was made of embroidered juicy or piña. So it's a bell-shaped sleeves gathered at the shoulder and flowing out to the wrist, worn with a panuelo of the same material draped around the shoulders. So panuelo, as what you observe in the picture, that is the cloths on the girl's shoulder. So this is an aristocratic version of barot saya. So it takes its name to Maria Clara, the mestiza protagonist of the novel Noli Me Tangere, penned in 1887 by Jose Rizal. So this is originally made from piña. So that's it for Maria Clara. So let's now move on to Barong Tagalog. So Barong Tagalog is a long-sleeved shirt, buttoned and halfway with fancy coins, pearls, or other materials. So Barong Tagalog combines elements from both the pre-colonial native Filipino and colonial Spanish clothing style. So it is traditionally made with sheer textiles woven from piña or abaca. So Barong Tagalog, this is what we usually see during any occasions like parties, weddings, and any occasions here in the Philippines. So now let's move on to traje de mestiza. So it became popular during American period. So with sleeves pushed up and the saya deflated to a slim column. So traje is the Spanish word for dress. So mestizo came from Latin word mixticios, meaning mixed. So this dress is in fact a Maria Clara. So this dress is originally a Maria Clara. It was just slightly modified, so but trimmed into a shapely modernity with detailed embroidered skirts. So the Maria Clara was modified into a modern style. So the Maria Clara dress was being modified and turns into a traje de mestiza. So that's it for traje de mestiza. Now let's move on to balintawak. So balintawak, a 1930s shortened skirt worn during picnics and other excursion activity. So used a soft draped kerchief on the shoulders. That was what you observe in the picture. There's a kerchief or handkerchief on the lady's shoulder. So the balintawak is deeply associated with Antipolo, a favorite summer destination for Manila dwellers. So this costume was to epitomize Filipino gaiety, light-heartedness, and her costuming sense of rural roots. So even when it was observed into the domain of haute couture, the balintawak continued to signal song, dance, and festivity. So that's it for balintawak. So now let's move on to terno. Terno means to match. So a one-piece creation with both bodice and skirt. The silhouette of the traditional barot saya were modified and stylized. So this dress is originally from barot saya. So the terno is identified by its butterfly sleeves, so as what you observe on the picture. So flat, oversized, high-peaked sleeves that are rounded at the shoulder by pleats using stiff cotton. So the terno combines Western influence with indigenous design and is considered a status symbol of wealth, social class, education, and Filipino femininity. So the one who wears this dress are those who are elite or in a high social status. So now let's move on to the next dress, which is the kimono. Kimono, a short and loose women's blouse with extended sleeves worn on top of a long saya. So this is part of a Filipino dress which is worn by women. So this is traditionally made from piña. So that's it for kimono. Now let's move on to camisa. Camisa is a collarless Chinese shirt worn under barong Tagalog. So this is also a part of Filipino dress which was worn by men. So this is camisa. So this is usually what we've seen. This costume is what we usually see during dance, no? They use this dress as costume for a particular dance. So next is we have the alampay. So alampay, a shoulder kerchief or neckerchief worn with the Filipino native dress that serves to clean noses and wipe off sweat. So this is also a part of the Filipino dress worn by women. So this is what we usually see in the shoulder part of a Filipino dress like Mara Clara or traje de mestiza. So that is alampay. So next we have the Ilocano peasant costume. So at this point we will discuss the costumes of Ilocano. So the female worn barot saya. So for male, the camisa de chino. So barot saya, which is worn on top and in the bottom. So that's it for Ilocano peasant picture. Just observe in the picture. So it's a loose blouse, 3/4 bell sleeves with little or no designs on edges. So the material used, which is white cotton or abaca. So white corpino or undergarment, top comes with the baro. So the saya is a pleated tailless skirt, ankle length, choice of plain, striped, or floral design in any color combination. So the material used, which is cotton or the similar type. So that's it for the female costume for the Ilocano peasant. So for the male, which is the camisa de chino or long sleeves, Chinese shirt of the Ilocano type, button down, checkered, and collarless. So for the pants, or is any colored peasant pants. So that's it for Ilocano peasant costume. So now let's move on to Tausug peasant costume. So the female wears it for the top, which is called the barawas, for the pants, which is the sawal or the kantyo. So for the male, for the top, which is the baho, and for the bottom, which is the sawal or the kantyo. So Tausug costume. So for the female, barawas is a traditional loose blouse. So long sleeves with deep langing keyhole neckline, extra panels attached to the right and left chest, decorated with many tiny brass buttons. So the material used, which is a cheap printed or plain Chinese silk or cotton, so as what you observe on the girl in the picture. And for the sawal, loose Chinese pants with a 10-inch soft white band or the kuku kordo. So for the next is we have the Subanon peasant costume. So for the Subanon peasant costume, for the male, they wears for the top, it's just called the bahu. Fairly long black shirt reaching the upper thighs. So in Subanon costume, modernity tight, long sleeves, small standing collar, front opening showing red lining. So material used is the black cotton or similar type. And for the pants, moderately long, loose pants with drawstrings, a short sarong or malong wrapped around the waist, reaching down the knees to keep pants in place. So as what you observe in the picture, both male and female, they usually wears the same dress. So that's it for our discussion for today, which is the Philippine costume. So I hope you learned something on this discussion. So thank you.